If you're looking for a family-friendly location that has the best of pretty much all the worlds that our Emerald Coast has to offer, 30A is the spot for you. Stick around for this video. We're going to cover all things 30A and why you should be raising a family here. To begin, there are I don't know why I'm doing two. There are 7 main things that you need to consider whenever considering moving to 30A Florida with your family. So we're talking about schools and safety, of course, are top of the line. The access of healthcare and family-friendly amenities. You've got cost of living, which is surprisingly a lot more affordable than we would have suspected, except for maybe housing prices, but everything else is pretty solid, surprisingly. But you've also got, cultural activities and a strong job market.
If you are one of our returning subscribers, we want to thank you for coming back. And if you are a brand new viewer watching us for the very first time, if you find value in this and you want to continue to get information like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and ding that little bell so that you'll be notified every single time we do a new video.
One of the biggest things that we as parents are always on the lookout for is the schooling. I know all of us, it's one of the biggest concerns that we have whenever we're considering a new location right next to, the proximity to wherever we're going to be working, right? The first thing is where we're going to be working. Okay, we look at that city. Okay, now we look at the school zones. What are those ranking like? Well, 30A has amazing schools. The public schools are all within the top 10 percentile, and Seaside's charter school is within the top 1%. This is all according to publicschoolreview.com. So if you want to look into that a little bit more in depth, then you have that. You're able to search that as well and see what these numbers are, and also a little bit more on what these schools provide. Seaside is going to cover grades 6 to 12, but don't worry, you've also got the 30A Learning Academy, which is going to cover pre-K to 6th grade or 5th grade. So you've got no gaps there in coverage. And the 30A Learning Academy is a private school, but it also offers tutoring and support for homeschoolers. So if you're homeschooling your children through these earlier grades and you want a little bit of assistance, maybe you're thinking I'm pretty smart, but might need a little bit of help in this other area, could use a little bit of help, it's there for you. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful school. They really kind of pride themselves on a project-based kind of learning system so that the children really use all their different, faculties essentially to learn. So it's just a more wholesome and holistic learning environment.
So next up is safe neighborhoods. Now, this is a very common question we get asked for people moving here with families. They want to make sure that they're in a safe neighborhood with a strong sense of community. And I don't think any area in our scope of work does that any better than 30A. According to neighborhoodscout.com, this area only has 3 crimes per square mile, where the national average is almost 27 per square mile, which makes 30A a fairly safe area for that. And in case you were curious, violent crimes are actually 4.7 times lower than the national median as well. Again, making 30A a pretty safe place all in all.
Now, as far as healthcare, whether you are practicing, Western style medicines, a kind of standard, or if you like a more kind of natural and holistic vibe, then you've got all of these options. You've got an Ascension, which is just to the northwest of 30A, not directly on 30A, but very, very close to access. You've got, Destin Surgery. You've got all kinds of smaller practices right on 30A. You've got chiropractors. You've got, different supplement stores and just health food stores. You've got everything that you could possibly want if you are concerned about health, whether you want to do it a natural method or a more pharmaceutical method.
So before we jump into all of the amazing things that you can do with your children, or of course, by yourself or with your spouse, we do want to talk about cost of living for just a moment. We do a ton of videos on cost of living in general on this channel, so if you haven't seen any of those, hit that subscribe button, or of course you can go back through any of the playlists and you can see those. So we are just going to break this down in a much smaller facet than we usually do, just to keep it brief.
And just so you guys know, we're local realtors. I'm AJ, and this is
Andrew.
And we specialize in helping people purchase and sell properties here along the Emerald Coast, everywhere from Pensacola to Panama City Beach. So if you have any questions about purchasing or selling in the area, we're going to go ahead and throw all of our contact information right up here on the screen, and you will be able to call me maybe, and we'll help you work a deal.
Now, 30A specifically is very difficult to get a realistic idea of what cost of living is just because nobody really breaks it down that small. So when we're looking at this, we're looking at Santa Rosa Beach in general, which includes the north side of Highway 90, which is technically not 30A.
Highway 98.
Highway 98. So according to salary.com, this area is actually 12.4% lower in overall cost of living. Now, we do have to throw in housing in there because I don't think they were taking that into account because obviously 30A is one of our more prestigious and more luxurious areas with an average price point of just about $1 million as of the time that we're shooting this video. Now, of course, if you're looking to get on 30A, this probably won't help you if you have a family, but you can start getting in studio condos at about $300,000 on 30A.
But if you did have a family, you could actually get onto 30A for around, $650,000, almost $700,000 and have a very nice size house. You're probably going to be on one of the farther ends of 30A, either in like the Dune Allen area or like west of that a little bit, or closer to maybe Seagrove might have something once in a while. But your best bet is probably going to be on the west end. If you're looking for a house and trying to stay within a moderate budget, around the 700 mark, you should start being able to find some inventory. If you have any questions about that, go ahead and reach out to us and we'll help you find something. A lot of times we're able to find properties off market, so save you a little bit and the seller some as well. And just to kind of slide this in there because, we're talking about cost of living and this is something that has a severe impact on your savings really, which means your income essentially, is Florida is an income tax free state. So you're only going to get taxed on that federal level. You're not going to also get taxed at the state level. So that's going to help out quite a bit.
Yeah, I think the average around the country is something like 7% or something. So the fact that we don't have any income tax, which is thank you to our tourists and tourism in general, that we don't have to pay any of that. So thanks, guys.
Speaking of tourism and how everyone wants to flock to our area because there's so much room for activities. I'm just kidding. Because there's so much to do here and because of our beautiful beaches. But we as locals get to participate in that every day if you want to. Depending on your work schedule. Maybe you're retired. Maybe you just don't work because, man, if I could live without working, I might do that. But some of the things that you can enjoy out here on 30A, of course, are going to be the amazing beaches, of which there are multiple accesses along 30A. So depending on what neighborhood you get into, you're going to have either more public accesses or more private accesses. So, consider that whenever you're deciding on a neighborhood, which one you want to have.
So now let's go ahead and go into all the different things that you can do with your kids or, of course, by yourself or with your spouse if you so choose. Now, this is a hefty list, so we are going to go through and just give you a quick breakdown of everything that is within 1 hour of the 30A area. And we're going to have to start with the amusement parks. There are 7 different amusement parks within an hour, everything from rides, Ferris wheels, water slides, go-karts, bumper carts, just the list goes on, arcades, all of it.
So amusing.
So amusing.
You've also got 11 animal discovery type centers, between the zoos and various, encounter style things that you can do at the marinas, not whale watching, but dolphin watching or, deep sea fishing kind of stuff. There's just so much. So if you're, kind of like me and you're like, I want to see all the animals, well, then this is the spot for you because you've got tons of opportunities to go and cuddle up to all kinds of snuggly friends.
Now, along the lines of the amusement park I was talking about, which is, I was going to say cooler than animals, but probably not. There are 11 different arcades and indoor gaming centers within an hour of 30A as well. So if you want to go get your game on, that is a pretty good opportunity to do that.
If you're really artistic or you would like your child to be really artistic and maybe they're not, wanting to do it at home. I know for Sage, she's like, no, I don't want to color. I don't want to do this or do that. But if someone else is like, hey, we're going to do this really cool project, all of a sudden she's down because they're not mom. So if you're running into something like this, Grayton Beach has a great art center where you can go and you can make different like wall art made out of, kind of rounded glass shards. I know that sounds super dangerous, but it's not. Like the pieces are rounded. I know it's not as crazy as it sounds.
They look like candy too.
That's actually true.
God.
But so obviously, there's an age limit, age appropriate things, but they make very beautiful art that you'll actually want to hang up on your wall and be proud of, as opposed to being like, oh, I don't know what happened to that scribble that's in the recycling now. I don't know. So You got a couple of these. You've got a couple of biking trails. So you can definitely do the entire length of 30A on the Tempucci Trail. Super fun, super aesthetically pleasing. You get to look at all the different architecture and, of course, the water and, people, if that's your thing. And... And then you've also got 3 bowling alleys. Bowling isn't really my thing, but I actually really love to take Sage because she has an absolute blast bowling. She's not particularly good, but man, the smile on her face when she goes bowling, it's awesome. I'll go for that.
Now, there are 7 different major dolphin tours and cruises, as well as 3 different fishing charters that you can do that are relatively close to 30A as well. So you're not going to have to travel that far to go get your fish on.
If you're kind of like me and you've got a need for speed, you've got...
Vroom, vroom.
He's got 7 different go-kart options, all in, a close area. And if you're more of like the rumbling tumbling thing, maybe you're like, oh, my kids aren't ready for go-karts, or maybe you're not ready for go-karts and the kids are too little and you're like, I don't want to have to do this. There is gymnastics also. You've got 2 options for gymnastics close by. Super cute. The kids absolutely love it. Get the wiggles out, and it's, it could lead to other great, life decisions for them as far as health and fitness are concerned.
And you've got 4 live theaters in case you are into arts. You've got 1 at Alice Beach and 2 at Seaside, as well as 1 just right outside of 30A. And of course, if you are not as much into the live theater, but you like movies, and there are 6 different theaters nearby, and of course, 9 different places to play miniature golf. So you can get your putt-putt on all day.
If you want some kind of activity that's a little bit more interactive and educational still, you've got 9 museums and they're covering, everything from science to art and culture. So you've got a solid mix there. You could go to every one of them with the kids, each a different week or a different month, and just kind of keep mixing it up so they're always learning something different and not being, bored by anything from having gone to it too many times. And then 6 natural preserves and natural parks. So yet another, option for the kids to go and get out in nature and learn.
And speaking of parks, there are actually 21 different named playgrounds or parks. Named meaning I was able to find them on the interwebs, and I'm very confident there are a ton of smaller ones. In fact, in some of the neighborhoods alone, I can already think of probably 20 just off the top of my head that don't have their own names.
And then as a reward, because now they're better behaved because they're worn out, and so they're a little bit less rebellious, there are 10 different stores in the area that are going to be super fun, geared specifically towards children, like Build-A-Bear and
That's a good one.
And Sweet Peddler and Gigi's. So all of these, they're going to be so excited that you brought them there, and it'll be a really nice treat and, create some lasting memories as well that they can take into adulthood with them later on in like a trunk or something. Maybe not to sleep with in their bed forever.
There are also 3 different trampoline parks. You can really get out all of that energy. And if you're looking for something a little bit more adventurous, there are 2 different kid-specific cruises, one that is pirate-related and one that is dragon-related, which is pretty sweet.
I haven't done the dragon one, but I know Sage will love it, so I need to go ahead and book that. Yeah. You've also got 3 different water parks and then tons of water sport companies. This is going to be your different rental companies for various, water sport stuff. So if you want to do something with your own muscle related, maybe you want a paddleboard or kayak, or if you want someone else to do the muscle, via a motor, you can get a captained boat or something like that, or you can get a jet ski. All of these super fun. Recommend trying all of them at least once. Figure out which one you love and then do it more.
And more on the adventure side. Again, we've got 10 different zip lines or rope courses. And lastly, I know this has been a mouthful, guys. There's a ton of stuff to do for children, as you can see. And lastly, there is a ridiculous number of family-friendly restaurants scattered all across the area.
Oh, yeah. Tons. I mean, you could eat at a different restaurant every single day, and it would probably take months to actually hit all of them.
Easily.
Obviously, something that is a huge concern to everybody, especially in the economy being, what it is right now. We're shooting in, oh my gosh, it's April.
Oh, jeez.
Where did February go?
It's right after January.
But anyways, so at the time of shooting this, the economy is in kind of a strange kind of situation. And so something that everyone wants to know is, what is their job like? And is it secure? And, in the area that I'm potentially moving, what's the job market like there? Thankfully, in our area here on 30A, the job market is still pretty strong. When compared with the national average, our unemployment rate is a little bit lower with a 4.3% increase in jobs currently. And we're expecting a 50% increase over the next decade. So I would say our economy is pretty strong here.
Now, whenever you're moving to a new area, it is not always about the kids. So we did want to touch just a little bit on some of the things you might be able to do once you get a babysitter, or, depending on the age of your kids, they can come to some of these events, but most of these will be to make sure that you and your relationship stays strong.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, unless you're single.
We're just going to kind of give you an idea of what to expect each month, because this will give you something to look forward to. Hopefully you're doing more than one date night per month, but if all you can commit to is one night per month with your spouse or partner without, having the children with you, then this will give you something to put on your calendar each month to have a special night to yourselves, or day, depending on the event. So in January, you've got the Songwriter Festival, which would be great for just an excuse to get out together.
And this is actually one of 30A's best events, in my personal opinion. It seems to attract crowds from all over to see the art, to see these songwriters, and, well, to just enjoy the atmosphere.
In February, we get a little bit more upscale over at Alice Beach. You've got the Wine Festival. Definitely not, trying to booze it up with some children, even with some classy wine, but it is a great night and a great experience over there in Alice Beach.
And this one does come with a pretty hefty price tag, so honestly, I wouldn't want to bring the kiddos in general, just because I believe the tickets are generally around $200 to $250 just to get in.
And in March, you can paint the village green,
which is, for my favorite of all of the holidays, St. Patrick's Day.
And in April, you've got the Seabreeze Jazz Festival. And in May to June, hopefully I'll see you guys tearing up the dance floor for the dance festival.
Olé!
Now in June, you've got the Emerald Coast Blue Marlin
It's
Classic.
me getting a blue marlin.
Yeah.
That's how I imagine you fight it.
That's how you fight it,
I've never gone fishing, personally. I live in an area with tons of fishing, and I've never gone fishing. So, blue marlin. Apparently, it's a fish. And then moving on over into July, we have one of my favorite events, Smoke on the Coast. Now, we actually used to sponsor this event. Well, not sponsor the whole thing. We would have a little tent and stuff there. But this is a barbecue festival. You walk around, you try different barbecue types, and then you put these little coins or tickets, depending on what they're using that year, in the ones that you liked, and the ones that have the most votes win prizes at the end of it. And it is a pretty good time.
I do love barbecue. So even though this actually happens every month, we're just going to go ahead and slide it into August. And that's a 38 art walk. It's going to be the first Friday of every month, but go in August, so you have something to put in your calendar.
And moving on into September is probably one of the funniest events in my personal opinion, and that is a cardboard boat race. You heard that right. They have to make boats out of cardboard. They're supposed to be limited on the amount of tape that they use and stuff, and it is hilarious. The kids get in it, and they're trying to race. They're trying to paddle. The paddles start breaking, and it's just like flopping in the wind. It is absolutely hilarious and a very good time to watch.
In October, if you're wanting to, get a little bit more active, then you've got a half marathon that you can go and run. And if you're like me and maybe you aren't ready for a half marathon, then you could just do the 5K. Anybody can do a 5K.
And as the temperatures start cooling down a little bit in November, you'll have the Harvest Wine and Food Festival, which is always a good time as well, because you get a little bit of both. You get some delicious wine and some delicious treats, or hors d'oeuvres, as they say if you're fancy, and you can go and enjoy that in November.
Make sure you buy your tickets early, because they do sell out very quickly. If you want to volunteer at the event, typically you can do a full day of volunteering, and then the next day you can go for free or swap it out backwards. So that's a pretty cool gig too. And it's fun. You get to meet everybody that first day, and you're doing whatever it is that you're doing for the volunteers. Sometimes it's, putting the bracelets on people or counting or who knows what. It's nothing like horribly, laborious for the most part. And then the next day you get to enjoy the festival. So a super good time.
And in December, the last month of the year, we have closing out with the Beach Basketball Blowout, which is an annual event held by the Hilton in Sandestin.
If you're still with us, then clearly you found some kind of benefit to our video. So go ahead and please give us that thumbs up so that we can help more people learn about 30A. And we will see y'all at the next one.